So it's that time once again. Just kind of going to get into the thick of it here. I wanted to do a follow-up on depression. I saw a video. If I remember, I'll try to have to find the link to the video and post it in the description. Fun, ADD, just forgetting stuff. Before I started this video, I knew I should have linked it, but I'm already in the throes of movement, so I can't do it now. Anyway, I saw this video. It was this, I believe, it was a Ukrainian actress, Swedish actress. I can't remember exactly what, but basically, they made a video on depression and how living with it feels. And a lot of it was basically like this person in a black suit, like one of those morph suits, that and a lot of scenes had this person in the black suit like hanging on them, swiping on their phone for them, pushing people away for them and stuff. Like, basically depression is somebody else living your life for you while you're there in the foreground. Like, you have this passenger with you that makes it hard to do things and connect and what have you. And it's crazy how well this was made, at least with my experiences with depression, because it feels like that. It very much feels like somebody else is in control and I'm just kind of here in the foreground. It's experiencing somebody else's life, and it's not to say that I haven't tried to climb out of that hole. I kind of talked about it in my first video and other videos about how I've been making progress. I've been taking steps to kind of better myself in as many ways as possible. Trying to diet better, eat better, eat more healthy, and what have you, And it feels kind of moot. It's like a moot point. Just feel like no matter what I do, no matter how hard I try, I just can't seem to shake this feeling I feel. And I kind of wanted to get really deep with this video because there's something I think about, not in the sense of like I would ever do it, and I'll explain what I mean, but there is something I think about quite regularly, because sometimes I want to try to understand things more, especially with depression, because maybe if I learn something about depression from somebody else, I'll be able to fix how I'm feeling. I don't know, but I like to look at stuff, try to learn from it, What I mean by that is one of the things, not everyone, but one of the things a handful of people with depression end up working with is the thought of suicide. And whether or not that would be vital or helpful in any way to them, the main answer is always no. And I'm not thinking of that personally, as far as like the actual act or anything. I'll explain what I mean and why I'm bringing this up and why I think it's important to discuss it. Because it's tough. I've been at a point where with my depression where I could completely understand why some people would get to that point where they would say maybe it's better if I'm not around. Fortunately, I have many avenues that I could pursue if I ever get dark enough, and I've been pretty dark before But I've never been at that point where I would personally ever consider that option. And I'm not stating that that option, nobody should ever feel like that's an option they should take. They shouldn't. But that's not what I'm getting at with this. What I'm getting at with this is I've been so low before where I can kind of understand the thought process that goes into, hey, maybe it would just be easier if I wasn't around. So I empathize and sympathize a lot with that aspect. And again, I want to make it clear, for the sake of clarification, I am not thinking of this as doing it myself. I am purely discussing it because I think it's important to talk about. I think the idea and the way and how and the fact that people can get to this point isn't talked about enough. And part of that is this country's healthcare system. Our healthcare system is so jacked up, man. Like, I'm struggling as it is, and I have insurance and what have you to where I could get antidepressants and stuff if I needed them. But I still struggle with it because even though I have these systems, they're not the greatest. And I can only imagine what it's like for somebody that doesn't have insurance. And it's hard to see a therapist. And you can get in to see a therapist, but it's hard to see that therapist consistently enough to work on yourself enough to get yourself to a place where you might be a little bit more keen to wanting to stick around, you know? And I don't necessarily think, me personally, that every single person that's ever had this thought come across them is psychosomatic. I don't know if that's the right word for it. I don't think every person needs to be put in a straitjacket just because they've had the thought. I think it's perfectly natural and a thing that absolutely does happen when you feel like you've tried everything to get ahead and just nothing works or it all falls apart in an instant. I think a lot of people have been there, and if you were to round them all up just because they've had a slight lapse in judgment, that would be insane because there'd be so many people. There's a lot of people that kind of go quietly, you know. They don't talk about their feelings. They don't speak to anyone for whatever reason it may be. There's people out there who are too afraid to address what's going on. And whether it not just be because the people they're around, the situation they're in, I can't really tell you what that is. Only they can. But there are people that go silently. We just never know what they're dealing with. So, you know, instead of this country fighting wars and raising the price on everything and electing leaders that are just bullshitters and fuckheads, you know, maybe we could spend a little bit of resources and actually address an actual problem. This is I want to say it's a pandemic. I don't think it's quite there, maybe scientifically speaking, but it is absolutely an epidemic of mental health problems. And I think COVID really kind of brought that out more. I think people started really recognizing their emotions and feelings a lot more during COVID. You're going to have the right-wing base stating stuff like, oh, they're just weak, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, people just became more aware of their feelings and emotions and how what's happening affects them and how isolated they may feel. And a lot of people kind of got wise to that during COVID. That was a big catalyst for a lot. But then it's also hard to get a therapist, and when you do, you can't see them as often as you should. You know, I'm going to say it, I'm a little privileged. I do get to see my therapist every week, And holy thank God I can, because I don't know how in the world I'm supposed to help myself or have them help me if I'm only seeing them once a month if I'm lucky. You know, some people only get to see their therapist once a month. And I didn't really realize this until I started going to therapy. Some therapists only do half-an-hour sessions. And out of the half an hour, it's only 20 minutes of actual talking, because 10 minutes they got to do their charting. Don't get me wrong, I understand a doctor should be doing their charting. But it's like, how in the world are you supposed to get anywhere with 20-minute sessions once a month? Like, I don't feel like I get anywhere with an hour session. I'm privileged enough where I get to have an hour session every week, and I still don't know how I'm able to get anywhere with that. Like, the hour goes by so quick, and I'm just like, I don't feel like I got to get through everything I wanted to get through. And that's every session. And if I'm feeling that, I can only imagine what it's like for people that get to see their therapist once a month, if they get to see a therapist. You know what I mean? And I know I've heard this argument before. I've heard people say, if you're feeling down, you should talk to like your friends or something. So here's the thing. Not everybody has friends who are, I don't want to say knowledgeable, but not everybody has friends that are capable of really taking care of somebody who's incredibly depressed. And not such to say that they shouldn't try, but you also got to be careful too, because I've had those friends. I don't have that friend anymore, but they were one of those people that adhered to that whole, well, it's a light switch. You got to turn it on and off. Just think more positively, you know? Just stop thinking so negative. Just think a little bit more positively. Like, you know, I wish it was that easy. I wish I could wake up one morning and just be carefree and not feel depressed. You know how awesome it would feel to have that albatross off my neck, you know? Like, it'd be incredible if I could wake up one morning and just feel like the world is beautiful and rainbows everywhere, you know? I would love that. But that's not how it works. You don't always wake up feeling good. And I would say 8 out of 10 times, not waking up feeling good. I'm waking up feeling like I just want to hide away from the world. Me personally, I've never gotten to the point where I've ever thought about wanting to off myself, you know? But I have absolutely gotten to the point where I just want to isolate from everything. Everyone, everybody. If my friends didn't text me, there probably would be days I wouldn't even interact with anyone. I would genuinely probably just lay in bed and rot all day. I just genuinely feel that depressed about life that I just can't do anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to step outside because I'm bound to piss somebody off, or somebody's bound to make me feel shitty about myself, or I'm bound to make a mistake or spend too much money more than I should, get into a car wreck, get a disease, you know, like all these thoughts flood your head when you have depression. Not everyone has these same thoughts, but at least with me, these are the things and thoughts I feel. And to credit to that video I mentioned at the beginning of this, one of the things that this black figure that hung around her was doing was anytime somebody would try to approach them or talk to them or just interact with them, they'd push them away. And I've never personally pushed people away because of my depression, but there are absolutely times where I feel like I'm putting in more effort than them. Why am I putting in more effort than them? And I'll kind of get lazy with the way I text. and I've been called out before. My best friend, every once in a while, he'll say, all I get is an LOL or a yep anymore, and I'm like, God, I'm so sorry, man. I don't intend to be like that. And I don't intend to be like that, but depression's got me in such a stranglehold to where it feels like a chore just to text my friends anymore, you know, and I shouldn't punish them because I feel like shit. And this is just me thinking. I know not everybody's gonna have this same thought process with texting and stuff, but I know I shouldn't punish them for me being depressed, but I absolutely feel sometimes that it's effort, you know, that I have to put in, and not just in like a, oh, hey, it's just a simple text. It genuinely feels like a chore sometimes, and I want to talk to these people. That's the worst part. These are my best friends that text me every day. I want to hear from them. I want them to hear from me. So it's a struggle when I have to sit there and actually feel like I'm working to send a message, you know? And I know some depression can come from being overweight. And I'm obviously an overweight dude. So some of the feelings I feel could absolutely be weight-centered. Like how sometimes when I feel like I'm doing things, it feels like a weight pulling me down or dragging me down. And it absolutely, in my case, I want to make that clear, in my specific case, could be just that I'm overweight. And that's why I feel like a weight dragging me down. That doesn't mean that that's what it is, but it could be. And that's part of why I've made efforts to try to get healthier, to try to get in shape, to see if I could bring out some of that, you know? If I could bring off some of that weight off my neck, that would be incredibly helpful, I think. But that's not always true. This guy just rolled his coal right in front of the cop. Cop's not going to do anything because he's a fucking pussy. But he'll go and shoot a minority, I guess. Oh, that's the ADD speaking. See, that's another thing that I don't think a lot of people really talk about is that ADD also comes from a place of anger. Because shit like that makes me angry. And I can't do anything about it. So it depresses me. I don't know, man. I've tried meditation. I've tried my dieting, like I said. I'm trying to go to the gym more often. Like, I've been making all these steps to try to get better, to not feel as depressed all the time. And I feel like I'm still depressed all the time and nothing's changed. And I was on antidepressants for like 3 or 4 years. And I changed them up to different ones and I still never felt any different. Like, I genuinely never felt anything on antidepressants. And I was on the highest strength of a few of them. And I don't want to go on anything more severe or more serious than like what I was on, because, you know, I did like the Lexapro, the sertraline, the Wellbutrin. I did like the minor ones, you know, the ones that don't require injections or anything. I had a pharmacist once tell me that my next step would probably be ketamine. I'm like, no, I'd rather be depressed. At least I have some coping mechanisms, you know, like, am I depressed? Yes, but I found some ways I could cope with certain things. Like, if I didn't have music, man, I don't know what I would do. Music and movies are like the only two things I really enjoy anymore. And like I stated in my previous video, like, I used to go to concerts every year. I would literally go out of my way to go to at least a concert every year. I would find a way to make sure I went. And in the last couple of years, I haven't been to a single concert because I just don't find joy in any aspect of it anymore. Like, some of it is because, like, I find out that some of these people I listen to are shitheads in real life, but also just because it feels like actual chore. I'm not kidding when I say it feels like a chore. It doesn't feel like I'm setting myself up for a day of fun. It feels like I'm getting work done and I'm not getting paid for the work. In fact, I'm paying somebody for the work I'm doing. That's how it feels a lot of the times. So, like, I have to go through the effort of going to the website to get the tickets. I have to pay for the tickets, and then I have to actually go to the venue, and it's not always nearby me. Sometimes it's a couple hours away. Then I have to stand in line, and then I have to stand more when I get inside once the doors open. And then I have to watch the opening acts, who aren't always great, you know? Like, it genuinely feels like a lot of work and effort to go to these concerts, and it hasn't been fun lately, and it sucks because none of that is actually true. I used to love all aspects of a concert, going on the website, getting the tickets, finding out that they have VIPs so I can meet the band. Like, I used to love all that, and just the last couple of years I just lost that. It's easier to go to the theater. Like, one of the things I still actually enjoy is going to the movie theater. It's easier to do that. It takes me like 5 minutes to get my ticket, and then the theater is on my way home from work, so it's super easy to get to when I've got the ticket. I still find some enjoyment in movies, and then just listening to music I still find enjoyment in. So, like, I still have things I do enjoy, but it's getting few and far between at this point, and it sucks. Like, sometimes music will bore me, and I hope I never get to the point where it genuinely does bore me. I think it's just because, like, sometimes I listen to the same playlist or something, and that's probably on me. So I've been branching out a lot more, trying to learn new music, trying to curate playlists so I can get a little variety, because it's nice to have variety. It's the spice of life. But I don't want to ever lose that enjoyment of music. I would hate to lose my enjoyment of movies too, and that is happening because there's so much going on with movies too. Like A24 and their whole shit on AI now. They want to start using AI, you know, just fuck all the people that work really hard to actually make creative content, put their blood, sweat, and tears into it, you know. So it's going to be harder for me to ever want to see an A24 movie again. And I'm sure A24 is going to lead by example, and more studios are going to start thinking similar things. I mean, we already kind of saw that during the last writer's strike. They were tempted to just start using AI to write movies. It's not like it's a far-fetched idea. And then AI is getting pretty good with generation. So, you know, they could absolutely find a way, if they have the right editing department and stuff, to make AI-generated slop look like a genuine movie. And animation is one of those where it's harder to notice. You can, but it's harder. And then just some of the actors and stuff I used to like, you know, they're all shitheads too, so that doesn't help. And all this stuff contributes. The reason I bring it up is this all contributes to my state of being, my mentality. Seeing all this stuff, hearing all this stuff, reading all this stuff is just contributing to that. And it makes it harder and harder for me to be able to enjoy things when the more and more stuff I used to enjoy is becoming less and less appealing. You know what I mean? Not to say that there's not still good in it. There's absolutely good in concerts. There's absolutely good in movies and actors in some studios. There's still good in regular music being played. There's still good. It just gets harder and harder to see as time goes by. And then with all the shit that our government is doing lately too, it's hard to keep a level head or be sane or happy about any of that either. You know, Now you're gonna absolutely have those people, right wings usually, who are gonna be like, womp womp, get over it. Like, great, you know. I don't know, man. People are rude, mean, for no reason. I don't understand. I don't know why people have to be like that. And I don't want to sit here and say ignore them, because they're hard to ignore. They're really loud. People like that are really, really loud. And they're a minority. The people that like that, the people that are like that are absolutely a minority. There's more of us who want to be happy and who are kind and care about others than there ever will be of right-wing douchebags, so all they want to do is shit on people. But the problem is they are loud, and they are in spaces that make it hard to ignore them, you know? And I don't want to try to sit here and say that's all you need to do is just ignore them, because, again, it's hard. I really wish this country gave a shit about its people. And I know some people are going to argue, oh, it cares about its people. It doesn't care about all its people. It only cares about a specific subsect of community. It'll never care about all the people, because all the people don't represent what it wants to be. You know, the government wants to be a very specific thing. So people like you and me who are suffering with depression and trying to get a grip on life and succeed and just want to be happy and comfortable and safe and secure and stable, you know, the country's never going to care about us. They haven't for a long time, and they never will. Unless we do something about it. I'm not advocating for violence, that's not what I'm saying, but you know, I had somebody, I read a comment on Reddit one day, and yeah, I know Reddit's not really the place to be caring about what people think, but they made a point. They say, if you're upset what's going on at the federal level, start doing something at the local level. You know, if you can't change what's happening in federal politics, try to do some good in local politics. I think I've said that in a few videos now, actually. There's a point to that. I think it's hard to want to get involved in local politics, but it is also hard to complain about what's happening in the world if we're not doing anything with our community. You know, community has been lost too, which I understand to some degree. Not everybody wants to be around people that are ideologically different from them, you know, because like some ideologies are nuclear when it comes to certain people, and that's just not cool. But I don't know. If you are suffering with depression, you're not the only one. Hang in there as best as you can. It can and will get better, but you're not the only one struggling. Find some outlet. If you want to shoot me a comment and just shoot the shit just to take your mind off things, I'll do my best to respond. I'd rather talk about nothing with you and make you feel like you're wanted than you to ever disappear. So yeah, hopefully this video helps somebody, even if it's just one person.